We are live.
All right, ready?
Ready.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a click.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Plans to Merge. I'm your host, Caleb Porzio.
I'm your other host, Dan Coburn.
And today's episode is brought to you by...
Those hating ass clout-chasing reindeer who didn't believe in Rudolph's vision until he got the cosign from Santa. And then as soon as Santa gets on board, they're all like, Rudolph, I've been with you the whole time. Rudolph, now we all love you. You're going to go down in history. You're going to be famous because Santa fucks with the vision. Those reindeer are fake friends.
Yep. No real friends.
No new friends.
No new friends. No.
No.
I
I just realized that today. I realized what a toxic song that is. And how but it's so cheerful that it's like, oh look, this is a good outcome for Rudolph. And really it's like, no, you got snakes in the grass, Rudolph.
Yep.
These people do not fuck with the vision.
Shine some light.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm honestly, I hope Rudolph's doing all right. And I hope he's still eating with the ones that he came up with.
Yep.
Anyway.
But
Rudolph.
he's changed.
No, he's definitely changed. It's all Donner and Blitzen and Dasher now. And they're like, Donner got him into Coke. It's a whole situation. Blitzen got him blitzed.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyway. Your fame comes on fast for a young reindeer.
Daniel, you're dropping nuggets, man. You're dropping nugs, bro.
Yeah, dude, you got to. Yeah, dude.
Reindeer pellets.
I cannot explain where that thought came to me today. I was just sitting there, finishing up the roof data form, just figuring out why this one test was failing in CI but not locally. Just just another day, another dollar. And I'm like, those reindeer suck, dude. Rudolph got the short end of that stick.
Did you hear the song on the radio, or were you just
Doug, it's February. No, first of all,
right.
Radio.
I don't know.
Second of all,
I've never heard a radio either. It just came
like
to me.
Boom! It just popped into my brain. I was like, "Yo, screw those reindeer."
I get it, dude.
Yeah. Anyway,
I saw you tweeted something. You were radicalized by
Rugrats. Yeah.
Rugrats. That was also very good. Are those direct quotes from the Rugrats?
Yeah, I didn't make that meme. I just stole and reposted that meme. But yeah, those are Rugrats quotes.
Oh, so funny to the listener. Yeah. You'll just have to go dig on Twitter.
You just go follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot there in the Rudolph story, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway,
I should take more critical looks at, cartoons.
Yeah.
Basically.
See, okay, this is interesting, Caleb. You and Charlotte both assume that this is about the cartoon, but it's about the song for me. I have never seen the cartoon. Okay. It's like stop motion or something, according to Charlotte.
Oh, to be fair, I wasn't connecting the two. I was saying cartoons because we went to the Rugrats.
Oh, because of Rugrats.
But I'm with it. Keep going.
Anyway, Charlotte was like, I was like, I hope Rudolph is still with his original friends, and that he brought them up with him and stuff. Right, and then Charlotte was like, he doesn't have any friends. He never had friends. His only friends are his new friends. And then she was like, well, actually, there was that elf. And I was like, what elf? There's no elf in the song. I don't know, but apparently in the non-canon fan fiction TV show based on the song, there's all these side characters, and I think that that's just a bunch of people trying to justify that they hated.
Oh, to dress up the
naked classism of the reindeers.
Yeah, they were pretty stuck up in the show as well.
I haven't seen the show. I couldn't tell you. Is it like a after school special type of deal?
I don't know what that is.
What an after school special is?
Yeah.
Like Charlie Brown's Christmas is an after school special.
It's something like that. I lose track of them all. Like I
Mhm.
actually know them pretty well, but they all mush together to me. Like I feel like does Rudolph have the warlock, or does like
What?
Rudolph, like you don't know the Winter Warlock? Come on, man.
No, dude.
The
I grew up in
magic
Japan. None
corn
of this was
thing
on
to make
TV.
the reindeer fly. It's gotta
Mm-mm.
be. That would make a lot of sense. Reindeer flying.
Yeah.
Rudolph with
I
the
thought they've
nose, Winter Warlock,
hmm
gotta be. Wow.
gotta be.
Maybe, maybe Rudolph is like the one, because there's
Uh-huh.
also the Saint Nick one, the Chris Kringle one, where he falls in love with the girl and they have that whole like LSD trip midway through.
They do.
They do.
I don't know about any of these. Christmas specials are not in my bag of tricks.
That's crazy, dude.
I know the
I'm
song.
surprised you grew up in Japan, but still, man. Like,
Yeah, well, we didn't have like TV, or like American TV.
yeah, I
So
don't
like,
know. I don't. I mean, you didn't have the VHSs from your parents.
no.
Come on.
Did you have
Yeah,
these
we
things
had
on
VH.
VHS?
Oh, all of them. Yeah,
Interesting.
for sure.
Huh.
Yep. Yeah,
Hmm.
these were like tradition for me. Like we watched these every year.
I like that we're doing our Christmas episode in February. That's important. That's important.
But yeah, yeah. But no, dude, you should watch it sometime. It's a classic.
Um, I will. I'll watch it next Christmas. Caleb, did you listen to the DHH episode of Full Stack Radio?
A good portion of it, maybe
Okay,
half.
yeah, I'm halfway through it right now. I've been
Okay.
listening to it like every time I go outside.
Yep.
Um, so anyway, there's a few things that DHH said
Mm-hmm.
in there that I want to interrogate. And one
Ooh.
of them, he says, so they're comparing like the sort of React thing, the React world's approach to this, to like kind of the Basecamp approach to this, right?
Okay.
And he says like, yeah, we're all trying to, or Adam's like, everyone's trying to solve the same problem. And DHH is like, yeah, well, I was about to say we're all just trying to make building web apps easier, but I don't actually think that's true.
DHH said he doesn't think that's true.
He doesn't think that's true.
Okay.
He said, what I do think is true is we're all trying to build good web apps.
Yeah,
And what you prioritize along that path is different for different people.
for sure.
And he says, whether that is developer happiness or team size or whatever.
Yeah.
And I am really interested in the idea of like prioritizing team size in framework development. Like that's
Okay.
a very interesting, like, and it was a throwaway thing. He said nothing more about it. He didn't talk at all about like what levers you would pull to affect team size in what directions,
Yeah.
right? He just says, or team size, or like as though that's a thing that like we all know about. Is that a thing that we all know about?
Um, so I might need you to restate that, but when you said that, I was picturing that DHH is saying um, different projects have different priorities and they pursue different technologies because of it. Some people it's developer happiness. Some people are pursuing things that are more conducive to big teams, or yeah, to big teams where a lot of collaboration is needed. And that might be his his way of saying like some people think microservices are good because
Mm-hmm.
you can work across, because you can collaborate across teams.
Maybe that's what he's saying. The way I initially read into it was that like some frameworks prioritize being able to build a good web app with a small team, right?
Yeah,
Which is an interesting thing
I mean,
because
isn't
like
that the
I
whole
feel
like
like that's more monolith style, is that
for
like
sure?
the more monolithic you make things, the more conducive it is to like a
Yeah,
solo
totally.
developer or a smaller team building
100%.
it.
Yeah, I think he
And
probably
then
meant that.
I think the other thing that like I read into that was like the the flatter the tech stack is, um, the more capable like a single developer or a few full stack developers are
Yep.
of like holding the entire thing in their head,
Sure.
as opposed to having specialist developers who do back end and front end of both.
Yep.
Anyway, I was just listening to that right before we got on, and that was a thought I had. It was just like,
Interesting.
it's interesting to think about like you make a framework. Do you think when you're making your framework about like, is this framework tailored to a specific team size?
No, no, definitely not.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing to think about, although it does have sort of natural consequences. Like I would say your frameworks are like designed well for small teams, I have no
Yeah.
idea if any large teams have even tried to use them.
Yeah, I didn't do any of, I wasn't intentional about thinking about team size. I just like small teams. So
Hmm.
all of my tools are in line with small team workflows.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I mean, you can use them in a big team. I don't
yeah.
see
There's no reason you couldn't.
why not.
Yeah,
Why not?
why not?
You could, I mean, if you, yeah, like you could have one team on like Alpine blade components,
Hmm.
like totally front end focused stuff, and then another. I don't know. No, I don't know. I think the like Livewire is meant for. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have a good answer, but
Hmm.
it's an interesting point.
Hmm.
Interesting thoughts, Magot.
That's all
He's
I
got
got.
he's got some good rants in that episode.
Oh yeah, he's
He
good.
he takes like you just like it doesn't take very much to send him off on a giant like
Did you?
soapbox speech about web development and values.
Right,
And I
right.
don't agree with everything he says, and I also don't agree. I agree with a lot of his spiels, but I don't always agree where he lands with them.
Hmm.
But they're great spiels,
Did you see
and I
the
mostly agree with them.
Did you see the one that I tweeted?
I don't know.
The quote from him. So here's my tweet. So DHH says we must continually apply these conceptual compressions where we
Oh,
fix these things that are needlessly complicated and not benefiting developers in any meaningful way. Right. And then
I
right
did
under
see your
that,
tweet, and I'm really excited to hear you explain it because I was confused by what you said. Go on.
and right under that, I say Dom no good reasons or Dom no good no reasons.
I don't get it.
Right.
I
So
read it a couple
what
times
he's
and I
saying
didn't.
is like, so there are these he says this is another thing where he says conceptual compressions like
Yeah,
that's a phrase that we're all familiar with.
I think
I
yes.
get it. I get
You
it.
if
He
if
doesn't
you listen to
introduce it.
him,
Yeah, yeah,
he like assumes everybody knows it but it's his thing. Like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So basically he's saying these
It's kind of
conceptual
like I'm sorry, but
go ahead.
I imagine in his mind, it's like, oh, convention over configuration. Like I started that thing, and I at least championed it, and now I can just say it. And I
Right.
think it's the
Yeah, yeah.
same thing with conceptual compression. Is he's like, that's another core philosophy of Rails. I say it, people get it.
Yep. Um but anyway, so the whole thing here is like we need to fix these things that are needlessly complicated and not benefiting developers in any meaningful way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's the whole question of when we're saying like when we're talking about like is something bad for a reason or is something bad for no reason, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Okay.
when something is bad for a reason, it's because it's benefiting developers in a meaningful way for it to be the way that it is,
Okay.
which feels like it's bad to us because whatever.
Okay.
um but these things that are needlessly complicated and not benefiting developers in any meaningful way are the things that are bad no reason,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the things that are bad reasons.
Okay.
And so anyway, that's just like
So
it
you just
like
made the
tricked.
mental mapping of like the why Dom no good, but you expounding on why Dom no good with this like why Dom no good, no reason. Why
Yeah,
Dom
yeah. So like
no
my thing
good.
is like I don't think that like Dom being no good is benefiting developers in any meaningful way,
Right.
right? Like I think it's just an accident of history and of like
Mm-hmm.
failed collaboration between big companies to make Dom good, right? And like no one has prioritized making Dom good. Um and so because of that Dom is just bad. But Dom bad no reason, right? There's no reason that Dom needs to stay bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I
It's
mean,
not benefiting developers in any meaningful way. Seems like there's a conceptual compression we could apply.
um, that's really funny. I mean, there's so many different forks here because I sort of fundamentally disagree with you on why
Yeah, you
Dom no
think
good.
Dom's good now. You've become a
I
student of
do,
the dark
but
arts.
I understand. I mean, I understand it like PHP
Mm-hmm.
carries all this baggage.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it's actually very much like PHP,
it
right?
is.
Like there's all these methods that are bad, right? Like there's like this
It's
API.
insane.
There's this
Yeah,
like
yeah.
leftover API of like badness.
Yep.
Right? Like there's nothing wrong with PHP's array merge recursive function,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with like array get or any of these array functions that have like the
No, the
weird.
real bummer is URL encode has no underscore, but basic
Sure.
before encode does have an
Yeah,
underscore.
stuff like this,
So
right?
just like go take a hike, PHP.
Yeah.
There's
And
equivalents in
like
JavaScript.
the DOM has a lot of that type of vibe too, where it's like, what is this? What is this terrible like method that exists here? You know?
Yeah, sure. I
I don't
get.
know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, or things like I might be wrong. Like some things you don't really always know what's going to be a property and what's going to be a method when you're working with the DOM.
Sure.
Trying to think
But
of
I
a good
mean, like, why can't
example.
we just have like a DOM query object, right? So like we have all of these many methods for pulling an object
Oh,
out of the
sure.
DOM, a
Yeah,
node,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Why can't we have a DOM query that we can do things to,
What are you
like
talking
a
about?
good API, right?
Like a query language for the
Or
DOM?
just like a query builder object, you know?
Oh, you're like in it, like beyond query selector, you want to be able to say like what do you design it for
So
me?
so like imagine like so right now the API for like getting stuff out of the DOM is basically split across a bunch of like top level methods on document, right?
Yep.
So you have like document get method or get whatever by ID, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got like get by, you can get by class name, you can get by query selector, you can get by, you know, and
Hmm.
they all like work differently and whatever. Um, but like ultimately, like to me, it feels like, okay, well, you have this like giant object full of nodes, right?
Yep.
That is, you have this tree, right? And like, I feel like I should be able to just like fluently chain on limitations
Mm.
until I end up with the thing that I want.
Like filter by, and then
Yeah.
you
Uh
pass
huh.
in like a tag name. So like now you filtered all the divs.
Yeah.
And
Or
like
just like document dot,
children
like,
of.
yeah, document dot query dot class and then pass in a class name dot child of what, you know, and
The
like,
problem is that's what the selectors are. That CSS selectors are the query language that
sure.
are flexible enough to do everything you want to do that
But
you're
what if you don't
describing.
want to do something by like, you know, in that way? Like to me, it's
Like
like it just
something.
feels like
Oh, I understand.
it
Like
feels like you're kind of patching on this really weird API of like the this special string encoding stuff, like the dot notation for classes and hash notation for IDs and stuff. Like, why should that exist in JavaScript?
I totally disagree with you. I think that I mean I think maybe if I think JavaScript embracing the CSS selector as like a global this is how you target an element
Mm-hmm.
is amazing
Hmm.
because we're writing CSS. I mean, come on. Come on, Daniel. Query
Who's writing
selector.
CSS? When's the last time you wrote CSS?
I write CSS all the time.
Do you?
I do.
What's a CSS rule you wrote recently?
I mean the Xcloak. I was working on Xcloak and
Okay. Yeah,
libraries
but
like
you
sock
write a
stuff. But
framework, right?
yeah, but hold on. No, let me defend myself.
I
Let
haven't
me
written a CSS selector in a year.
so let's think about this. Yeah, okay. So in the world where you're saying like you're only using Tailwind or something like
Hmm.
that. I don't know. Like CSS and JS people, they use CSS all the time.
Yeah, but those people are gonna learn later
Agreed.
that that's a bad idea.
Agreed. So you're using Tailwind and you're not using CSS selectors, so the whole
Hmm.
dot thing feels weird to you.
Hmm.
So you want to
Well,
just have
it's not
like
just that
a
it feels weird to me. It's like it is hidden syntax, right?
yeah, like you're never writing dot this. You are when you're writing a CSS selector, but you're saying that's out of bounds.
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I don't
like,
know, dude.
if I'm designing
I don't know.
JavaScript, right,
Yeah.
like, and I'm interacting with the DOM, like, to me, CSS should is a layer on top of the DOM that makes it look good, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so you should just design the DOM with the DOM and the stuff that the DOM already has, right? So I feel like CSS should be irrelevant to the design of JavaScript's DOM interactions.
I don't know, bro. I'm having a hard time getting with it. And
All right.
I'm feeling like maybe you should pick another fight besides query selector because that's universally adored. If you, if your reason for why Dom no good is query selector, I think your whole
I
campaign
wouldn't
is
say that's my
doomed.
reason, but I just think that's an example of a place where we could get a much friendlier API.
I
I'm not
don't
saying you can
agree
like
at all.
I'm not saying you should like get rid of query selector, but I'm saying like what if you want to do query selector, right? And then also I don't know, like what if you want to write that query in a way that doesn't require you to like do like, hash this plus dot this angle bracket, you know,
I mean, you
brackets
could
this.
design a fluent chain to do that,
Yeah.
but it would be difficult, and it would be just you would just have to know words, method words instead, which you could do. You should build it. You should build it and see if you like it, and then call it Dom good.
But that's the whole thing, right? It's like there's already like there's plenty of good ways to like jQuery was really good at like selecting things, right? Um the issue the issue I feel like is that like we want to be getting rid of these libraries. We don't want to add libraries. We want to be getting rid of them and using the bare metal browser APIs.
Hmm.
And the bare metal browser APIs just have like weird method names, complicated,
So I'm half with you. Again, this is our why Dom no good debate. I do want to like. I totally love Query Selector, and I can't really envision something I would like using more than Query Selector.
Sure.
To be fair,
Uh-huh.
um, but there are things like, well, legacy things like, so manipulating classes. Now we have class list. It's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful little API. Like those are the things that you want. You want class list and data set for everything. You
Mm-hmm.
want those upgrades, and they are coming, slowly. And another good example is getting like the how many pixels something is away from the top of the page. And like normally, like basically like any element dot offset height or offset width or stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, or inner height and inner width, or window dot inner width and inner height. Like all those are sort of legacy. They're computationally expensive, and anytime you want to just get a freaking number, you have to subtract and add two or three things, and then have to take into account the width of the scroll bar and everything. It's really like that's Dom no good.
Yeah, yeah.
But now there's get bounding client rect
Mm-hmm.
hashtag great method names.
Yeah.
Um, but get
Wrecked.
bounding client, I think it's get bounding client rect
Mm-hmm.
is fantastic. It gives you literally, it's an object that gives you top left, bottom right, and those are
Mm-hmm.
just pixel values away from the top left, bottom right of the
Mm-hmm.
viewport. It gives you width and height of that thing itself. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Um,
anyway, and it gives you I think it gives you well, and I don't know offhand, but Dom is good once you learn, you know what it is? When you don't, when you haven't like built Alpine and you just like know DOM
yeah.
APIs, and you have this scattered knowledge of like jQuery stuff, and then
Yeah. Dom is not intuitive.
the raw JS alternatives, and then you haven't really updated your knowledge in 10 years.
Yeah.
And the little bit you have, like to you, I don't know, I'm saying the proverbial you,
Sure. No, but also the actual me.
there's just this sea of random APIs named weird things that kind of all do similar things and whatever. There's a right.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
once you start to like really
But
work with
that is a design failure.
the get bounding, sure, the get bounding client rect thing is a perfect example of something that you at first put in the pool of like weird legacy bad ways to get the height of an element. But once you see like a little bit more clearly, you're like, oh, this is a newer thing. It brings clarity to this unclear thing, and it does its job perfectly, you
Sure.
know? So anyway, they're like, I think that agreed, Dom no good in a lot of ways. Dom on ramp to Dom bad, and
Yeah.
understanding what stuff. I mean, basically there should just be a guide of like, here are all the things that if you're using, you're old. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're old school. Your knowledge is not updated, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like realistically, I feel like there just needs to be an ES6 for the Dom, you know? Like an upgrade on the level of like the ES6 upgrade, right? That basically is like, hey, we're going to like make everything fluent and make everything, declarative and
It
make
would be
everything,
nice. It would be
you
nice if
know?
there were even, well, if it was just like, I think that most of it has to be declared or imperative, because it's kind of a low level tool.
Mm-hmm.
So like the APIs I'm talking about, like class list, is still an imperative API. It's like class list dot add, class list
Mm-hmm.
dot delete. It's not like bind class list to object or something.
Sure.
So really, like, yeah, like totally Dom no good. If you want to get the attributes from an element,
Mm-hmm.
you you get that element object and you do dot attributes.
Mm-hmm.
as it's like it's a property. I don't even know. Let's see really quick if there is a get attributes. So if I have the thing get, yeah, so get attribute. There is no get attributes. There's get attribute where you can get an individual one.
Get a
But
specific
if you
one,
want them
right?
all, it's just attributes as a property,
And
not.
it's mutable.
So it is,
Yeah.
which is fine. But you can do set. Is it mutable? I don't think so. Ah, I don't think it is. Like I don't think it's probably mutable. I'm not sure if it actually mutates the element itself because when you mutate the attributes, you use set attribute.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a perfect example. This is a great example because, like I had mentioned before, annoying places where some things are a method and some things are a property.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a data type that isn't inherited from something you think it would be. So, and what attribute, if in your perfect world, this get attributes method on an element, what data type is returned? What's the data that's returned?
It should be an array
Should be an array. Okay.
or a keyed object.
Right. Okay. So it's actually a named node map, which
Great.
means that you can't do $0 dot attributes dot and then anything that you would want.
Like
So
filter or reduce or map or whatever.
yeah, and the thing about the named node map, it's kind of weird. So let's say there's a class attribute. If I do dot attributes dot class, okay, oh dude, it's so weird. You'd have to look at it, but if it's a map, you would want to be able to use all the mapping things. But hold on, I think the thing you actually do is array.from. Yeah, dude. Like that's the thing when you want to work with it, you use array.from and you turn this like named
Right.
node map.
This is the same bad feeling as using like object keys or something to like
Agreed.
make an array or make an array out of an object or
Totally.
something. Like
Yep.
these are just bad feels.
Yep. And I won't go further into it, but once you start working with the individual attributes, you can access it like an object, like the attribute dot name and dot value, but it's not a normal object. It's another weird data type thing. So in Alpine, like I immediately convert that stuff to just plain data types so that it's more formalized, standardized, and flexible. That's a big one in JavaScript, constantly having to do array.from. So you can call .filter and .map when you have like an element or a node list. When you do query selector all, you can't do .filter on that. You can do .for each. They let the for each dot slip through to the node list, but not .filter.
Yeah, and this
map.
is the thing. It's like some guy was high that day and was like, "Oh, like I want for each, so I'm going to add it or whatever," But like he didn't like take responsibility for like adding all of the things that you would want to use, right? Or actually like making it extend a prototype that's useful.
You would just
what he
think
could have done, right? Like prototype. It's not typical. It's prototypal.
Yeah.
Prototypal inheritance here could have saved the day.
Yep.
But
So like if we query selector all and I get the prototype, it's node list. And then if I get the prototype of that, it's, I don't even know what. It's just like constructor. Dude, I don't even know. It has two, but you want it to be, okay, it's object. You want it to be array. You want it to be array. Why don't they have array in the prototype chain?
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. So it's basically, it's a node list, which is a list, which is very array-like. Then it's an object.
Yeah.
Prototype.
Hey, here's a fun little like just like programming. How can you make this the nicest possible thing? So you get a test, right? And you're testing a route, and you need to like submit a bunch of data to it in a post request, right? And then you need to submit a bunch of different data to it, or you need to change one key of the data that you're pushing, right? And submit it again and like assert the difference in the response, right?
Sure. Okay.
So say I've got like an this is in PHP in like a PHP unit test, right? And I've got like an array called like payload, right? And it's like an associative array of like key value stuff that is like my post data, right? And I want to submit it, and then I want to change one key, and then I want to submit it again.
Okay.
Right? What is your preferred method for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear the oh, and say it's multiple levels, right? So say it's not just a flat array,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's like there's like data and uploads is actually what there was, right? So there's like
Okay.
a data array full of fields and there's
Yep.
an uploads array full of fields,
Yep.
right? Um, and I want to change like data dot name,
Yep.
right? Do you A go payload bracket data bracket name equals whatever, and then submit it again with payload?
Right.
Do you do uh, array set data dot name value? Like what's your preferred thing? And then if there are multiple, like say it goes up from 1 to like 4, do you
Mm-hmm.
still use the same method or the same, not method, but the same tactic?
Depending on the length, I would first hard code them both.
Uh-huh.
Um, but so I'll say like as soon as you feel like actual pain from hard coding both, the thing about mutating one is because PHP is so mutable and you can get bit by those mutations so often, and because when you're testing in Laravel, the app instance is shared between all of your ordeals. So like the service providers only get run once. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like a true test where you're running everything twice if you're
Sure.
calling the endpoint twice. So that always like I get bit by that in really really odd ways. So this is kind of obscure, but that's just another thing like contributing to me not wanting to like assign a bunch of values to an array, post it to a thing, then mutate one value and post it again to another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because those things can actually like carry on living inside of that request and still be alive and changed by the request,
In which
I don't know.
request?
The
The
first
first
request,
one?
like, yeah. Um, like if you send, this is actually a really interesting thought, and I don't think it has real credence, but like if you assign an array of parameters and then you pass them into a request,
Sure.
do they get serialized ever and unserialized?
I'm sorry.
Like,
Do you mean like so? Like here's the scenario, right? Is like payload equals an array of shit, right?
yeah, yep,
Then this arrow post to the
yeah,
route
yep,
payload,
yep.
right? So what's the concern?
So I have a hypothesis that I would love to test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you if you create an object or a variable called payload,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the key value pairs that you're describing, data and
Mm-hmm.
upload and whatnot, and one of those values you set to new collection or something, you actually like set
Yep.
up a PHP live thing.
Sure. So that's actually why I'm doing this, right? Is because some of them I have this upload colon fake that
Okay.
creates like a fake upload and gives you a UUID that's valid for
Okay.
like fake signed S3 uploads,
Yep.
right? So that's why I want to reuse this is because I want to for the second time I want to submit the same UUIDs that I
Okay.
know already exist in the system,
Oh, okay.
you know.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
like if someone was to resubmit this form again, having
Right.
changed one thing, but not changed all these other uploads.
Yep. Okay. So you're using that as a feature.
Yes, that's what I want.
Here, okay. I'm totally going off the deep end here,
Mhm.
but my fear is that an object like a collection can actually enter the request and come out of the other end and be that instance. Like if you do like in your controller, if you do like request, some item and then manipulate that collection,
Mhm.
like that shouldn't happen in life at all, because how could a collection make its way into a request data comes from an endpoint. But in a
Mhm.
test it can, I think. And if you manipulated it in the controller, now in your test, because it's by reference, that bit is manipulated. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So then when you pass it into the second request, it might have been manipulated by the first request in the background in weird ways that could cause either double positives or false positives or
Wouldn't you have to like
negatives.
pass it by reference or something for that to
No,
even happen?
no, because they're just passed by reference by default objects, you know? Like, I'm super curious. I want to try it really bad. Like, just newing up a collection, sending it through the,
Hmm.
this arrow post or something
Sure.
in the controller. It could just be a closure in the web.php, add an item to it, then DD in the test right after you post to that.
Hmm.
And I bet your collection would have that new item. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's interesting.
So that would be my fear with messing around with like setting up a payload and then changing it throughout the test, But I
Sure.
don't know. I still haven't given you a good answer of like, what would I do?
Okay, so let's assuage a few of these fears, right? First of
Yeah.
all, it's an array. It's not a collection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Second of all, I'm pretty sure they do get serialized.
I bet they don't.
Okay. But even if they didn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that the request parameters never get mutated.
Um, no, can we try it?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I'll speak it out for the
For the
user.
YouTube people, you should just share your screen because there are people watching us on YouTube.
That's true. But then I'm gonna speak it out, and then you can make sure that it stays interesting for podcasters.
Okay.
So I'm gonna define a route
Yes.
called /foo in web.php. Okay.
Uh huh.
And this has a function. It's just a closure, in the route. And then
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thing equals request thing. So a thing is like a parameter in the request. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to expect that it's a collection. So I'm going to do push,
So
arrow
sorry, you're
push.
doing like request helper with thing as a parameter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then I'm going to do thing, arrow push, yo, yo, yo. Okay. So, and just call it a day at that.
Sure.
Okay. And so now if I create a new test
And then
file,
right after that, you should just DD the payload. Or sorry, not right after that. In your test. So in your test, you create an array,
okay.
you pass it, you create an array called payload, you
All right,
pass
let
it
me do
in.
it. Hold on. So payload equals, and then the first item is thing, and that
Mm-hmm.
points to a collection. So I'm going to do the collect helper, and let's just make it empty for now.
Sure.
Okay. And then now I'm going to do this arrow get, and then /foo.
Don't run it yet.
Okay.
Let's
Then
talk about it before you
/foo.
run it.
Well, I have to do post because otherwise it's annoying to get parameters into the request.
Yeah, do post.
Payload. Okay. And let me change it
And then
to post in web.php. Okay. So this arrow post, and why is it giving me an error? It's giving like the syntax highlighting undefined method post. No,
are you extending test case?
I am. It might just be, oh, it's extending PHP unit framework test case
That's a problem.
because is that how it goes with unit tests in Laravel now?
Yeah, unit tests no good.
Weird. Is that a
Yeah,
new
I
thing
ran
or
into
am
this
I
issue
just
recently. It
like
has to be a feature test.
bummer?
Yeah, it's extremely bad.
Okay. So bad. Artisan make test foo.
Technically, it's faster.
Okay. All right. So we have foo now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm going to paste in my Ordelio. And then I'm DDing the payload after I do the post. I'll DD
Yep.
to
Yeah.
array. And now we're going to
No,
find
no.
out.
Just DD the payload itself. Don't to array it.
Oh, right. Because it's not even a. All right. I'm just. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yeah. So what? Before we run it.
Yep.
So if you are correct,
Yep.
you're just going to get an error, right? And the error is
No.
going to be push does not exist on array. Dot
No.
push does not exist on the array.
If I'm correct, push is going to work because it's a collection.
Or sorry. If you're correct, push is going to work because of collection,
Yep.
and then it's going to be mutated. And then when you DD it, it's going to be different. If
Yep.
I'm correct, you're going to get an error because push does not exist on an array.
Yes.
All right.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let her rip. Works like a charm. Yo, yo, yo is in there.
Wow. Interesting.
Yep. The collection
Very
is still
interesting.
preserved and it has been mutated. This is some insidious stuff, man. Like,
Okay. So now do it with an array. Do it with an array.
okay, what do you mean?
So instead of a collection,
Yep. Okay.
make it an array.
Empty array.
Oh wait, no, payload is an array, right? Payload is not a
Payload is
collection.
an array.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. I got
Well,
nothing.
hold on. Let's say that I know where you're headed, I think. And so if we have payload and we have thing, and then thing is an empty array,
Hmm.
right? And now, if inside of web, instead of thing arrow push,
We do
if
array
I
push
do
or whatever.
array push, and then we pass in um, thing, and then the index of, or no, just thing. Yeah, this isn't going to do it. No, yeah, it's not going to do it because it would do it if it was nested. I'm pretty sure. Like, let's say that we have thing and then thing is a nested array.
Thing with an A.
Yes. And then now I do array push thing, but the thing key. And now I rerun it. Still doesn't do it. Yeah. I don't know.
Array's safe, collection's dangerous.
Yeah. And I feel like arrays aren't even safe. I just can't think of the right way to show it. But yeah.
It's
Yes.
interesting.
Collect any objects, anything that's an object, dangerous. And like I've run into so many hurdles with live wire testing stuff because you literally can't get a fresh app instance like easily for each different call. Like if you're doing this arrow post, oh, here's what it is. If you have something in a service provider that detects if it's like running in a test or something, whatever. If you have something in a service provider, it will get run when the test starts,
Sure.
not when you call this arrow post.
Sure.
So you can't have anything in a service provider that depends on request data. Because if you do, then it's going to run at the beginning of the test with no request data.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you call that method and you have that thing, that check in your service provider is just not going to get run because the app's already been bootstrapped. Anyway,
Interesting.
it's worked fine for me in normal application context, but maintaining stuff, it's like, whoa, you know.
And is that test bench? Is that just how test bench works?
Nothing to do with test bench. This is just Laravel testing.
So what? Explain it one more time. So the app gets booted once in the setup method, probably of the Laravel test case.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Well, okay, right. So let's say if I'm going to go to my app service
creates
provider.
application, right? So there's creates application in the Laravel test case,
Yeah.
right? And that's like where the app gets booted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're saying that app booting doesn't run on every test method?
No, it does. So here's the thing. If I have a test and my application service provider, if let's say in boot, I do dump.
Yeah. So you say like if request, like if there's a query string that says I'm an admin, then make me an admin. Right.
So, but I just want to test this in boot of app service provider. If I dump yo-yo and then I run this test example.
I see. So you don't get a new application boot across requests within the same test method.
Right. You only get it up front.
You get one application boot at the front, and then it just uses that same application instance no matter how many requests are in here.
So if you rely on any headers, that's what bit me. If you rely on headers in your service provider, anything to do with the request, your tests are going to give you weird results. Because it's not like a normal request lifecycle.
Interesting.
I think it'll work middleware forward. Like middleware's on will be predictable, but anything before a middleware, no toast.
No boy, no.
No boy.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
Mm-hmm. The more you know.
Daniel, I got something to run by you.
I love that.
I want to do something and I want your opinion on it and maybe a quick brainstorm.
Sure.
So I'm thinking instead of dropping Alpine v3 either at a conference or another time, I'm thinking of an Alpine Live launch party.
Okay.
It's a micro conference that is going to be like half day long, open keynote me, close keynote me. Like a sandwich of the beginning.
Caleb sandwich.
Caleb sandwich. Beginning is how to build Alpine from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
The end is demoing all the new features
Mm-hmm.
and hitting the launch button
Mm-hmm.
and releasing the new Alpine site
Mm-hmm.
design, maybe a new course, all the new documentation, the new V3 itself, maybe a few plugins, and then sandwiched in the middle would be I would get people in the community to do these little micro talks that would
Sure.
be like 15 minutes, build something cool,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So a conference light.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
You should do it.
Scale of 1 to 10. 1, terrible idea. 10, best idea ever.
So let's compare it to something, right? So if you don't do this, you're going to launch it at a conference or something.
Yeah, but in reality, if I don't do, I could sort of really what would happen is I would demo the new features at Laracon Online,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I could do. Demo the new features at Laracon Online and then do what like Taylor does every year or I did last year where you demo the new stuff and then
Then you push the button.
after a couple weeks
Okay.
of finalizing things.
Sure.
Yep. So I'm thinking wait longer, build up all this stuff to like be able to do it all at once and
Mm-hmm.
like have a big party around it
And then promote that party at Laracon Online.
and promote the party at Laracon Online for sure.
Okay. That's good. So what, if anything,
Mhm.
um, what is the benefit of having this large party?
The primary benefit is me being able to really present Alpine V3 the best way I think it could be presented.
Right. So I'm saying, like, what is the benefit over you like making a good video and putting it out?
Oh, excitement, being excited about something, you know, like new stuff is released and I go like, oh, I'll get to that when I get to it. I'll look
Mm-hmm.
at that when I want to look at it. This would be like, I would want to make it fun. Like, I
Uh-huh.
think that it could be fun.
You do like Alpine Day.
Alpine Day, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Like, it could be like a fun launch party, like any launch party.
Sure, sure, sure.
Um, like the talks could be unique and creative. There could be fun things interwoven. We could do like a live no plans to merge that day as part
Sure.
of it or something,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
That'd be fun. Alpine Day. Um, yeah, and also side benefits are depending on who you get the talks, you also get to like get other audiences, eyeballs on
Right.
Alpine. Um, if you get, some other person to do a talk, that'd be cool.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Get
I
West
would,
get West Boss to build something in Alpine.
so I thought it would be fun to like, I'm going to go for famous friends. I'm going to go for that crowd, of course. Famous friends who use Alpine, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I think my goal with it is to make it fun for them.
Yeah.
The conference,
So what I think
I
would
would
be
want.
really fun is if you got, I don't know if West Boss is the right guy, right? But like someone who actually doesn't use Alpine,
Exactly.
and you
Yes.
did a talk where you're like, famous friend, use Alpine, and I'll sit here and answer your questions,
Yep.
right? But like, I want you, I'm going to give you a React component. Now, like, make this an Alpine component. And like, I'm here to hang
Yeah.
out. Like,
So that's a great idea. And I've already sort of thought along these lines and thought that I think Wes Boss is too big, but he's great. Like I should
yeah,
try him
yeah,
because I need somebody who is knowledgeable and famous who's never used Alpine, and he would be a great candidate. I should reach
yeah.
out and see, but let's just assume that he says no way,
Or
Jose.
like someone else from the React community.
So yeah, interesting. I was thinking like somebody like Ben Ornstein,
Uh huh.
Rails guy,
Yeah,
may have never touched Alpine. It would it would speak to him. Like I think he's the better candidate for Alpine than somebody who's like a React person because then they'd
sure.
be like, wait, but where's the router? And
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
bro.
Right, right, right,
But
right. Yeah, a
he's
back
one
end
who came to
person.
mind who's like far enough out of the community that he probably doesn't know Alpine.
Yeah, yeah. Ornstein would be cool. Um, you'd have to pull him away from working on the Linux tuple
Right,
app.
which he's so diligently working for
Um,
Daniel Colborn.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can co-sign that, but
Right, right.
that,
Okay, so
no, but
assuming not him.
Ornstein would be really cool. I think anyone in Rails world would be really cool. Like there's a bunch of cool Rails people, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no. I was gonna say Chris McCord. I should have him do one. He already knows Alpine, but
yeah.
he should do one. And and the pitch to me is like here's my pitch to Chris McCord. I know you're really I know you get requests all the time. I know whatever. I know you got a lot of work to do. You don't want to sit there and plan a conference talk.
Hmm.
Come to my conference and just like think of it like you're helping Alpine out
Hmm.
and just show off something cool that you think you can do in Alpine or that you've done.
Hmm.
And it can be 5 minutes or 15 minutes,
Sure.
but just like come hang out and just be like, because these are people who I imagine are not like afraid of sharing their screen for 5 minutes to
Right,
make it look
exactly.
cool.
That's the thing. Is like you want to get people who talk.
Yes. Yep. And so I was also thinking like to entice people, uh, okay, I'm thinking I should paywall this thing, which is kind of crazy
Okay.
because at first I thought no. But then I thought about all the live conferences that I have no interest in attending because they're free.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? I feel
Yeah, just
like
make it
making
cheap.
it live would hurt it. Yeah, just make it cheap.
$5, like literally that cheap.
Okay, so I was thinking 5 or 9. I was thinking 4 or 9.
9, 9,
So the reason I'm thinking 9, what if I do this? I was thinking
9, 9,
I
9.
get sponsors to cover costs. So the Zoom
Sure.
costs and maybe a designer to design a page.
Hmm.
Then I charge $9 for an admission ticket, and it's 100% profit share for the speakers.
Hmm.
So
So they get all the money.
exactly. So if
Yeah,
there's 10 speakers and it makes 10 grand, they each get a grand. If
that's
it's,
great.
but if I feel like if I charge $5, I would have to get a lot of freaking people for it to be like,
Yeah. So if you charge $10, let's call it
yeah,
$10,
yep,
and 1,000 people come,
yep.
are 1,000 people gonna come?
They're not.
Yeah.
1,000 people are not going to come.
Yo, what if you just make it pay what you want, but you have to pay?
Hmm. I could.
Right?
Yeah.
Minimum $1.
Yeah.
$3 because it's Alpine V3.
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting. Minimum 3, pay what you want.
Minimum $3, pay what you want. Some people are gonna throw in $40,
Maybe.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of guys
I
out there who
like
just
it.
like to throw money around.
I like the pay what you want. Because if
Yeah.
I was paying what I want, I never do the minimum on pay with on pay what you want.
Right. Especially
I
if
would
you really
pay
like
9
Alpine.
bucks. Especially if you really like Alpine, sure.
And the people who are going to pay anything are the people who like Alpine.
And it says like it's pay what you want, 100% of the profits go to the speakers.
Not profits. 100% of the revenue. You say revenue.
Right, because the sponsors cover costs.
Right. Profits always, anytime someone says 100% of profits, I'm like, right, you've engineered this in a way where like you pay yourself a handsome salary
Right.
and there are no profits.
Yeah, right. Like
Right.
I would consider profit my own profit.
Right.
But
Right.
but it wouldn't be immediately obvious.
It's literally like 100% of the dollars that go into this bucket will
Yep.
be divvied up among the speakers.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it, dude. It's pay what you want. Pay what you want. Minimum $3.
And it also like aligns with your whole like sponsor me if you want mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're all about give me money if you feel like it.
Yep.
You know.
This is a really good strategy. So now question. I was thinking for like the middle 4 hours of a day to
Mhm.
capture like the most of all time zones possible. The middle 4 hours of a day, probably 45 minutes in the beginning from me,
Mhm.
and then probably 45 minutes at the end from me.
Mhm.
And then in between, it's like tell me what you think would be cool as a consumer of this.
Sure.
What would be cool to see? And let's say that I can get anybody in the world to do these talks. Like what's cool for you to see? What's cool? What is fun and not just like conference snooze fest?
Yeah, what is cool for me to see? So I think I like the one pitch, which is like get some people who've literally never laid eyes on Alpine
Yeah.
to use it and make something,
Yep.
right? Are you gonna have Doc a docs website by then? Are you
I
launching a docs website with V3?
That was my goal that day to launch the thing. Yes.
Okay, so you launch the docs website first,
So that they can use
so they
the
can
new
use
Alpine.
the new Alpine
Yeah.
and the docs, right?
Yep.
And then here's the categories of people who you get. You get a front end person
Okay.
from the React community,
Yep.
right? Then you get a back end person from the Rails community,
Okay.
right? Then you get like a, what do you call, like a designer who's like a HTML and CSS designer only,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who like maybe knows a little bit of JavaScript, but like doesn't write React or something, right?
Okay.
And be like, hey, here's a way you can just like put a little bit of dynamic stuff into your front ends.
Okay.
You know, maybe that's not important. Maybe that one can go. And then the other thing that I think would be cool is someone who uses Alpine constantly
Yep.
right now in V2, but you just hand them
Right.
V3 and say like, go
Exactly.
wild, you
Yeah,
know?
you're on it. So that's sort of what I did some brainstorming with Mitch earlier today, and that's sort of what we came up with, which is really affirming and cool. Um, and yeah, we were like, we need some people who are pros at V2
Mm-hmm.
to just like, we'll just drop a new V3 feature and be like, here, build something with it and let us
Mm-hmm.
watch you. Um, Here's the thing. I feel like I'm picturing some of the speakers are going to be the like Alpine contributor people, you know.
Sure.
Um, and then I'm thinking of the other people, like, let's just say our friends who
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty confident I could be like, hey man, can you come hang out for 10
Mm-hmm.
minutes on this thing? And they would. And then there's the high tier. There's the West bosses. There's the high, we'll just call them the high tier without
Yeah.
naming names at the moment.
Sure.
What is the most enticing thing for them? Because if it's me and you said, hey, can we just pull you on here and you can live code, I'd be like, yeah. But I'm thinking of someone like Jeffrey Way. Like I don't envision him being jazzed about like impromptu stuff. I'm thinking of people who are more polished, you know,
So
and who
yeah,
don't just
here's
like
here's the
go on
people
live,
then.
make a
If you
fool of
want to go
themselves.
like high tier,
Yeah.
you reach out specifically to West Boss, DHH.
DHH, he would never do that.
He would
Maybe
totally
you
do
think
it
he
if you
would?
did it right, dude. Come on, just do it right. Caleb, you can totally get people.
Dude, I don't believe you, but okay, keep going. Tell me.
Well, whatever. Then you swing and you miss, but like you definitely got to try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're gonna
Hands
not
to the
try.
gods.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get West Boss. Get DHH. Who else is someone big in JavaScript land? Get like I mean, like, you know, like you could get Dan Abramoff or someone like that, you know.
Yeah, that would be baller.
These are like the big baller names in
I would love to get Evan Yu.
what about like Sandy Metz or someone? How hard would that be?
I don't
Come
know.
on. Who
Yeah.
knows though? You don't know.
Right. Like if it was
I
a
feel like,
conference that the pitch was like, hey, this is the most informal thing ever. You barely have to prepare at all. Like for
well,
these
here's what you
people, they
tell the
don't have to
people.
prepare at
Here's what you
all.
actually do, and then here's also what you tell the people. I am reaching out. So like I have finally made it, and I'm reaching out to all of the people who inspired me to become a good programmer. And I'm just trying to get them all on stage on the same day to like talk about stuff, and I'm going to give them all the money. And because you are a
Well, so
product of DHH and Sandy Metz and maybe less
sure.
so West Boss,
Right, not Wes.
but like your I would say your business model is strongly West Boss influenced,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like I would say like these are sort of like the patriarchs and matriarchs
Well, so the
of
thing is
you. Like this
right.
is where you come from.
I'm picturing I'm picturing a no plans to merge conference at some point that we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about. That's
Oh,
like
dude, for
our
sure.
shot as the most badass conference in the world. To me, this is not that. It's my like Alpine version of that. My Alpine light, small little version of that.
Right. But like why not get people who like are extremely impressive to you and who you would
I mean, you're
love a shot
right.
at to just come fiddle with your toy, right? And then
Yeah.
you have that relationship when we have the No Plans to Merge conference that we can pull those people in.
Right. All right, you're right. I should swing for the fences. Is that the word?
Yeah, absolutely swing for the fences.
And then there's okay, but like,
And
is
but
it
then you also should like at the same time pull in like one or two from the community of people who you just like you like a lot or are
right?
impressive to you, or
I want to get Justin Jackson
Houston Jackson.
to yeah. I want to get him to demo Alpine because he's been working with it like a tiny bit. And Transistor uses Alpine up and down.
Yeah. You
Um,
know, this goes out to all my Houstons in the back sipping yaks and
okay, dig.
sorry. Continue.
Um, so I'm thinking like he's a perfect one. I just have to
Oh yeah.
convince him that he should go in front of people and program with
You
Alpine.
saw he made a programming tutorial.
I know. That's why I'm
He's a
like, he's
programmer
got to
now.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he made a tutorial, and Alpine was in the tutorial.
Yeah, he's smart, dude.
Oh, for sure,
He'll be fine.
absolutely.
He'll be
No, I
fine.
know. I just got to make sure that he
I'm
wants
just
to do it.
yeah, but I know he's listening right now. So I'm talking to you
Right.
like I don't know he's listening so that it'll
Thanks.
inspire
Okay.
confidence in him that we're having a third party conversation about how he's smart.
Right. Yes. Yes. Good
So
call.
yeah, Justin's smart and he'll I know he'll never hear this, but you know,
Right. But if he
you
did,
just need to convince him he's smart.
yeah. Justin.
Houston Jackson.
Yep. Oh, and the like Jack Ellis, Fathom Analytics guy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think they're using Alpine in their rewrite right now. Fathom is Ember, but I think they're using Alpine in the rewrite. So like Transistor and Fathom to me are like the ideal products. They're these like successful SaaS apps that are built on very like the principles that I would build an app with, you know?
Sure.
So anyway, so yeah, so I'm thinking, and so I was considering like, I'm really curious more of your thoughts on the theming of those micro talks and the rules or like fun things we could do, or collaboration or something. Like I think if we just start on one end of the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
I say, you know, please put together an Alpine talk for 15 minutes and you get a mixed bag of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then we could impose rules like rule number 1, you can't pitch a product of yours. You can't,
Right.
you can't
No
like,
pitches.
yeah, no pitches. You can't
But
show off a tool you've built.
you do get 30 seconds of your Twitter username up on screen. That's the only self-promotion that is allowed is the first 30 seconds of the thing, your Twitter username will be up on screen. And like
Sure.
you can make a joke out of it. Like you can like for one guy, you could just say nothing for 30 seconds, just kind of like stand there and be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe 10 seconds. You make it even smaller.
So all right. So let's just say, well, let's start with that. Let's start with the no pitches, no plugs thing.
No pitches, no plugs.
It's like my goal with that. I mean, I imagine basically I'm hurting my chances of getting people to speak, you know?
Yeah.
So like, am I just hurting myself by being like, hey, Wes Boss, you should come hang out. No pitches, no plugs. You'd be like, why would I do that? You know?
Yeah.
But I guess I don't mind pitching and plugging, but just like isolated to one portion. I don't want your talk to be about your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not even because your thing is bad, just because there's a probability that because the incentives are not aligned.
What if they can pitch and plug, but they have to supply to you one thing to plug, and then you do like an announcer voice at the end and do like their pitches and plug, or like you hire a voice actor or something to do their pitches and plug. Something funny. You do something funny where it's like a little bit tongue in cheek, the way that you're doing pitches and plugs.
That would be fun.
You should also get people. You should assign people certain things to build. I think it'll be easier that way.
Interesting. So tell me about
here's an idea. Like say you get Kent Dodds.
Yep. I wrote him down actually.
And you get Kent Dodds because Kent Dodds made Downshift, which is the like React renderless select input thing.
Okay.
Primitives to build simple, flexible, ARIA compliant React autocomplete combo box or select drop-down components, right?
Gotcha. Yep.
So like this is a person who is very familiar with everything that's necessary to build those types of components.
Right.
So like you go to Kent Dodds and you say, hey, like let's build like a little tag input, right? Where it's like you press tag, you type in tags. No, you build a quick one, right?
Yep.
15 minutes, you know? I feel like he could do it. I feel like you and I could do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the styling was taken care of, yep. I mean, we could totally build the basic. If the styling was taken care of, done deal.
Hmm.
Um, I would just need to know the ARIA stuff because I don't know that stuff offhand. You know,
No, no, no. But you don't need to build everything the downshift does.
gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
just saying, like, this is a person who this is an element that this guy has thought deeply about.
Yep.
Is like this type of like auto completing tab.
Yeah. You know what I think maybe a component of this to rope in the big boys is not being a pitch that requires them to present something out of their own brain
Right.
because that is the thing that
And
puts
that's the
pressure
thing is like you say it's going to be a live coding exercise. It's going to be fun. It's going to be low pressure.
on.
I'm expecting everyone to kind of flounder and like
Yep.
I'll be right there to help you,
Yep.
right? But like we'll just like give you a simple component to build and we just want to see first impression of the Alpine
Yeah.
ecosystem. Are you able to build it?
Yep.
You know, or like what problems do you run
I
into or
love it.
whatever.
I can't I would love being pitched that kind of thing. What people do you think
Because you're cool.
wouldn't be?
Just you just got to reach out to cool people. And if you reach out to enough cool people, enough of them are cool for the reason that they like this type of
I should
thing.
reach out to Gary
Like
Bernhardt because he's cool.
this is the type of thing that makes people cool, saying yes to this,
Yep.
right? If you say no to this, you're not as cool as someone who says yes to this,
Yep.
right? Like that's just a given.
Yeah.
And
You're
so
right.
like if you know that these people are cool, chances are they're cool because they said yes to a bunch of weird stuff.
Okay, I dig. I dig. So what about the people who know Alpine really well? I mean, I could just do the same thing. I could just assign them V3 things that they're not aware of.
Yeah, or you could build them an Alpine V2 component and be like, guess what? Like this, and this now exists. So like make this component good,
Yep, that's
right?
cool. Yeah, that's really cool. So does that cover it? That covers it, like V2 to V3 exercises and then just V3 exercises
Yeah.
from somebody who's interesting. I feel like I should like I think I need to launch V3. How do I launch V3? How do I mix in like demoing, let's say like xfoo is a new directive that exists.
Hmm.
It's just called xfoo and it just spits out bar.
Sure.
Um, so I'm really excited about it and I just dropped a huge secret. And then there's xbar, xbez. This is joke's going nowhere. Xfoo.
Hmm.
I say I show somebody new Alpine or from V2 to V3 and I'm like, I think I have to have somebody use the feature and then I demo the feature.
Right.
Like that's how I introduce all the new Alpine features. Right?
Oh, so you schedule the whole day around like
Right.
this feature, then this feature, then this feature.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
So that requires less big names and more people who are familiar with V2.
Right. But I mean I could like kick off
You could sprinkle in a couple big names, but then have
for
like
sure.
an equal number of community people to introduce new features.
Yeah. It's super ballsy to build stuff and see what people do with it live. Like from my perspective, I
Yeah,
just never
exactly,
thought of
which is
like
cool.
agreed, but I'm just like thinking like, oh man, like this stuff better work well because if it's not like intuitive or something, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be cool.
yeah, no, it will, um, it will. Okay, so yeah, I guess I have to figure out the nitty gritty, but you dig.
Yeah, I
And
dig.
then how do we work no plans to merge into this?
Uh, we could do we could do a live show before it starts, like as like the waiting room,
Cool. Yep.
you know, like before like the keynote or the opening keynote that you're gonna do.
Yep.
Like we could just do like a live show where we just hang out and
Hmm.
record an episode.
Yep.
Um, you obviously you make every example code that you write is some sort of a podcast player component that has no plans to merge all over it so that we promote the show because it's very important to promote the show.
Very important.
And
Yeah, either before or after party. I can't think of after
Yeah,
party sounds.
before or after.
It's got to be after
Yeah,
because
because then we can send people to it.
yes, and after parties are always like what like we could actually do like a No Plans to Merge branded after party,
Yeah. Brought
and
to you by No Plans to Merge.
it would free me up to worry about like technical stuff beforehand and not
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
be live streaming whatever.
Do it live.
So I got to learn how to make a conference, and
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you think that by it, like I could see people thinking like, oh, like launching Alpine V3, like I don't know.
Okay, Caleb. So
Yeah.
the other thing that like this kind of goes against something we already decided is good, but it's worth thinking. The
Mhm.
other option is you just use this as an opportunity to boost your sponsors and you just make it a sponsors only event.
I thought about
Like
that.
use the sponsor authorization stuff that you've done
I did think about that.
to like authorize things. But then it's like there's not
I've
like a clearly
decided
defined
against it.
pool of money to give to the speakers.
Yeah, I decided against it, but I did think about that, and that is a good idea. It is a path for sure. But yeah, I love the dude. $3 or name your price. All revenue goes to every dollar that is paid to the thing gets split amongst the speakers
Yeah,
evenly. Um,
big
and
bucket
it's
of
and I
money.
just and I start asking the big guys, see how many I get, and then fill in the plebes,
Hmm.
in descending order of bigness, or at least yeah, no, that's it, or at least the coolness factor in my mind,
Yeah,
um, that's cool. But yeah, I should
I
I
feel
should
like you
try
should
for
get
Gary
Adam on there
Bernhardt
too.
because his who Adam Wathan?
Yeah,
You kidding me?
yeah,
No, he's like the first person I thought of. I haven't
yeah.
talked to him yet, but
I mean, we just haven't explicitly said his name, but like, I think Adam is very good for this event.
oh, I think 100%. He
Yeah,
is the target speaker,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. Cool, cool, cool.
And
Just so we're clear.
I'm predicting that I'm just gonna be like, yo, like, here's the pitch. What do you think? And he's gonna
Yeah,
be like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. I'm thinking there's like a 90% chance,
yeah.
10% chance that he's like, no, bro, no.
Either way, you won't get a lot of explanation.
I wonder if I should get Steve, who's not a developer.
Ooh, bro,
He
sugar,
he would be down.
sugar,
I
bro.
think he would be down.
Yeah, he'd be down.
And he's seen HTML before.
Oh, he's good at it.
He's pretty darn good at it. He runs a
He runs the
CSS
HTML company.
framework. Yeah, he runs an HTML company. That would be a good one. I bet he's never tried Alpine, and he would be a perfect person to try it, like a
Yeah,
non-developer.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I'm
It's cool.
digging it, dude.
Dig
Uh,
Dug, digging
okay,
it.
this is good. This is good. This is really good.
Dig Dug,
So yeah, do you see the new Laracon Online landing page?
so sick, dude.
Isn't that good?
The art is so good. It's so
So good.
much like that ghost bat guy who I wanted to do our
I
artwork that one
know.
time.
I
The like
know.
monster, and you told me it was too gross.
The pickle, Gus's
Yeah,
pickles,
the pickle guy.
pickle
You told me it
Rick.
was too gross. I was like, it's not gross enough. What do you mean?
What do you mean? What was gross? The pickle thing or the his like other drawings?
His other drawings, because I wanted to get like a zombified version of us,
Oh, right. Yeah, you wanted
and you,
something like grotesque,
yeah,
like our face is melting off.
yeah. What, Caleb? We're all dying a little every day.
No, I know. I mean, I get it.
By the way, I need to take a headshot of myself, um, because I have already commissioned that guy, the ghost bat guy, to do an illustration of my head, um,
Oh, wait,
for my
what?
internet
Oh,
avatar.
right. Okay, yeah, yeah.
My 2021 internet avatar is going to be like an illustration of my head by that guy.
Sweet.
But there's going to be two versions of it. There's the one where it's just a picture of me, and then there's the one where I'm rotting and like my eyeball is falling out and I'm like,
Dope.
and I'm just going to save the rotten one for October, and I'll just all of October
Yes.
on Twitter I'll use that. But then on my website I'm going to make it where if you hover over the picture of me it
Yeah,
goes to the rotten one.
that's fantastic.
It's sick. So yeah, but
That's
I need to
great,
take
dude.
like a headshot, and my hair is in such a precarious length right now that I'm like concerned about taking my official headshot right now.
How much is this going to cost you?
It's like $200. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's worth it. I'm just wondering if like is it a small enough amount that like you could just get another one when you
Yeah, for
dial
sure.
yourself up.
Oh yeah, we could put it on the No Plans to Merge website. We could do you and I both as
Right. We could get one of each of us.
yeah, the monstrifications.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's too grotesque though.
I have a very weak
You
stomach.
yeah, for your delicate sensibilities. For a guy
Yeah.
who guts fish all the time,
Hey, man.
you'd think you'd
Um,
have.
you'd think I'd got more fish than I do.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I actually
You'd
find it to
probably
be
throw a
quite a
lot
hassle
back.
these days. I mostly release them to like let them live, so I actually don't really eat them
You
very
don't
much.
want to decrease
But
the population. Then you're just killing
exactly.
the sport.
I actually am. It's surprising some of the things I've done. I'm even surprised. I bet I would be pretty grossed out now. Um, you know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, dude. I caught a bunch of saltwater fish.
Yeah, I heard.
Saltwater fishing is amazing.
Do you go on like the big boat with the fishing pole holder on the back?
Yes. Well, yes. It is like an offshore fishing boat, but we just went inshore. Um,
I don't know what inshore means.
I'm learning all these things too. I'm just dropping the words.
Is inshore like you're in a bay or something?
Yeah, like
Okay.
you're behind not even like a break wall. Like basically like if you look at the Florida coast, you'll see like open ocean and then like tiny strips of land and then like the ocean inside those strips of land with like an inlet or two every mile or
Gotcha, gotcha,
so.
gotcha, gotcha.
And those and there might be like a little like creek system or river system and then goes back out in the ocean. So it's all salt water and the fish kind of like come and go. Like we were just fishing and there were dolphins. I couldn't believe it. I just was not
I got
expecting
I got fish
dolphins.
questions for you.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me?
So
Daniel.
rivers run to the ocean.
And
This we
oceans
know.
never fill.
Right. Rivers
Water's
run to
very
the
so deep
ocean.
inside and okay.
And so the reason they're freshwater is that the water is melting ice somewhere up on a mountain somewhere. Or
Mm.
melting snow and ice and whatever up on a
Yeah,
mountain
or it's a
somewhere.
spring.
Or it's a spring up on a mountain somewhere. And then it basically just runs to
Or
the
it's
ocean.
rainfall. Right?
Sure. Well,
Okay.
I'm sure the rainfall ends up in the river, but
Right, for sure.
generally, I feel like it has like a source, which is either melting snow and ice or
Yep.
a spring. You know,
Or rainfall. I think that might do it too, but I could be wrong. I'm trying to think of like what
but then
feeds.
when it's not raining, there would be no river, right?
Well, don't know, dude. Like, I'm trying to
Because the
think of
rivers are
like
moving.
right. So 18 Mile Creek, the creek that in Hamburg or Cattaraugus Creek, like those
You're just
are
saying creeks.
they're creeks, dude. Don't you stop now. They're tribs. They're tributaries that go into Lake Erie.
Sure.
And there's no mountains. Like they don't come from a mountain. They
Where
come
do they come
from
from?
like runoff, like rain runoff. And they probably have a few springs.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm saying. There's got to be a
I'm thinking the
non-runoff
majority of
related.
it is rain, honestly.
All right. Anyway,
Sorry, go
regardless
on.
of how the water table works,
Yeah.
so you've got all this fresh water flowing out to the ocean,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And that's called a river. Um,
Yep.
and so within that river, there's all these freshwater fish,
Yep.
right? Are they all swimming upstream? Because I know like salmon swim upstream,
Right.
right? But are all fish swimming upstream?
No.
Then how do they not all just get washed out into the ocean and die in the
Because
salt water?
some rivers are like big rivers, their current is so like slow that they don't have to go into the ocean, you know? Like I think the St. Lawrence Seaway that
Hmm.
connects Lake Erie to well actually connects Lake Ontario to the ocean and goes through like up like above Maine and stuff.
Sure.
Um that flows out into the ocean from the Great Lakes.
Hmm.
And I mean, when you're on it, you feel like you're on a lake. Like you can't tell that there's current
Okay.
because
So
it's
let's
so wide and
assume.
it's like it could be like 100 feet deep at
Mhm,
points and there's tons of fish that are just live there, you know?
mhm. So let's assume a river that does move a little bit fast,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Is that just are faster rivers only populated with like stronger upstream swimming fish?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of like, I
Because
guess my
otherwise they'd
only,
all get swept out. Or are there like little pools off to the side that the fish like kind of end up in to like avoid the current or something?
yeah, that happens. I mean, so like
And like,
trout,
I guess a lot of
salmon,
rivers go through a lake at some point, and maybe a bunch of those fish end up in that
like
lake.
holding areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I know that like largemouth bass don't love like moving current. They'll always look for the stagnant stuff. So you're not going to find like a largemouth bass in a swift running current.
Hmm.
But smallmouth bass during like the spawn, they will like swim upstream and they kind of act like river fish, but they prefer similarly stagnant water. But trout love, they need it or
Hmm.
love it or whatever. And salmon and any salmonoid love the
You're a
current.
salmonoid.
I know they love the current. They just love it, and that's their thing. So I think your intuition is spot on, but I don't know for sure. But I'm pretty sure that that's the deal. But dude,
So
even
are there
like
situations where there's like a ton of rain and an otherwise slow river becomes really fast and a bunch of fish get swept out to sea and die?
I don't know. I would think the distance would be too great, because there are fish that are like both. They're amba salt
Delta
fresh.
fish.
Yeah, there's fish that are adapted for salt and fresh, like
Hmm.
salmon that run from saltwater into freshwater
Sure.
inland,
Yeah.
steelhead. And there's other fish who can like live in both salt and fresh. Or there's a brackish water. I think
Hmm.
is the mixture of the two.
Hmm. The delta
Um,
water.
is that a word?
Yeah, like at the delta of a river,
Oh
like
yeah,
the
totally.
Mississippi River Delta.
Yeah, exactly. It's this like kind of mixture water, and I think they can kind of just chill and like be cool with both. So,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I'm gonna guess no to your question, but it's possible that a huge rain just like sweeps half of like the fish in I don't know what's a freshwater giant river that feeds the ocean out into the ocean. I don't know.
The
Never mind.
Mississippi.
Yep, could be, but I doubt it. But I don't know.
Um, One time, speaking of the Mississippi River Delta, um, one time when I was in New Orleans, I was down by the bayou, just kind of hanging out, walking a dog, hanging out with my roommate, like smoking weed by the river, just being
On a
around.
on a raft.
No, no, just like the bayou, or sorry, not by the bayou, by the levee. I mean, so there's like
I'm
these
just playing.
levees. There's levees by the river, and like if you go over the levee, it's almost like a little beach.
Word.
And it was just like a cool place. You could take the dogs there and like hang
Yeah.
out and stuff. So we
And
were
Injun
there.
Joe.
Yeah, so we're there and we're just hanging out, and a couple dudes pull up in these kayaks,
Mm-hmm.
like pull off, and are like, "Hey, what's up?" And we're like, "Nothing. What's up with you?" And they're like, "We just finished the Mississippi River.
Oh wow, yeah,
Like we started at the top of the Mississippi River, and now
yeah.
we're here, and we've been in these kayaks for like a long time. We did like most of the United States
Mm-hmm.
in these kayaks. It was cool. Anyway, it was a cool thing. It was a cool
My
moment to be
sister-in-law's
standing where I
brother
was standing.
at least tried it. I
Yeah.
don't know if he completed it, but yeah,
But
yeah,
it
that is
was
pretty
wild to be
wild.
standing there as they pulled up. Like,
Dude, you
we're
like
done.
imagine you could just go and hang out at like. Wait, I think I have a connecting thought as well. But you could go and hang out at like the end of the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Trail or whatever.
Hmm. And just witness a bunch of people accomplishing
Yeah,
their
if you
goal.
just want to like fill yourself with warmth, you could just go chill there
Uh-huh.
and just
And
like
like
be
bring like
there.
popsicles or whatever.
Yeah, sure. But even just I'm trying to think of where I've encountered this before where airports are
Oh
weird
yeah,
to
yeah.
me
Uh-huh.
because
Because you
like
like watch
you're
people
just
reunite.
chilling and you might just be witnessing like the most beautiful moment in someone's life
Yeah.
or the most heartbreaking moment in someone's life, but you're just
Yeah.
sitting there like, going to a conference, eating a burrito, and
Yeah.
there's like
You
a
like woke up
mommy being
super early for
reunited
a
with
flight or something.
her daughter or something. Yeah, yeah, you're just like chilling with your AirPods, like snoozing, laying on the ground or
Yeah.
something. Just like pissed that you can't find a charger, and then
Uh-huh.
there's like a soldier coming home to
Yeah,
their
yeah.
family.
And their family's like, "Oh my
And it's
god,
just
you're
such a
alive." Yeah.
juxtaposition. It's like we're in the same water.
Hmm. This is brackish water is what
I
that
know,
is.
yeah. I was making the connection.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um I
Truth.
feel like giving people popsicles, like there's people out there who like go to the Appalachian Trail and like hook people up with Gatorades and stuff. And
Cool.
there's also people who like
That's
go
dope.
stand near like marathons and give people bananas and popsicles and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, cool.
Those people are cool.
Yep.
That they're like well, it's Saturday. What are we going to do? Oh, let's go give stuff to marathon runners.
Yeah.
Like I would never, first of all, I would never know when the marathon was. But second of all, like, that's never something I would schedule into my day. Like, oh yeah, I got to go to Sam's Club and buy 400 popsicles and go give them to the runners in this marathon.
Have you ever run like a half or even like a 5K or
Yeah, I've run
something?
5Ks.
Okay. Because like, I mean, well, let's not say 5K because I've run 5Ks and I
Mm-hmm.
don't have this sense of camaraderie. But Hannah, she's run halves,
Mm-hmm.
and she has this just strong sense of like camaraderie with runners, and is like all about that kind of thing. I'm like
Yeah, I
she
feel like a lot of the people who do it are people who like were runners and then like blew out
they
their
got
knee
fat.
and can't be a runner anymore,
Yeah.
and so now they're
Yeah.
just like, from each according to his ability to each according to his need with the popsicles.
That's it, dude. That's a nice little quote that you packed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she like if she can't participate in a race or something, she like has to be there and support like people who are running, and it's like this whole thing because it's, you know, whatever.
It's cool.
Um, oh, what was I gonna say, Deke? Oh, you had me thinking about people who just live life out loud, you know, like somebody who might be passing out
Oh
popsicles
wait,
at
is that a Stephen Curtis Chapman song?
that would be wake your
Live out loud.
neighbors, get the word out.
Yeah.
Come on, hit up the music,
Sing
let it.
to the mountain and shout.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the life we were living,
Give it,
but to
let it
be
sit.
lived.
Yeah.
So wanna live out loud.
Nice. It's either that or like
It's
Ashley
Stephen Curtis.
Simpson or
No, it's
something.
Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Got it. Okay.
It's definitely Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Um. So Daniel, these live out loud people. That's a deep cut, D. Cole. Good job, man.
All right. Yeah. Live out loud types.
Live out loud types. So in Disney Springs, there is so you got Disney Springs. You
Is that
know,
a town? Is that like a
no,
company
you don't know what
town?
Disney Springs is? My gosh, Daniel,
Is that brackish water?
dude, Disney Springs, you downtown Disney. If I throw that out, anything?
It still sounds like a company town. Yeah.
This is wild. So Disney has all the parks, you know, in Disney World, and then there's
Yes.
downtown Disney, which is like their Soto Sopa. Do you get that reference? Yes, it is
With views
literally
of historic Kenny's house.
yes, it is literally Soto Sopa.
PT
Like
Pot
literally,
Town.
you go there, and the Soto Sopa music, they couldn't afford regular like Muzak or whatever, and it's just like you just go there and it's like fun like food and dining for it's like and there's like singles with their like martinis and you know
Yeah.
it is exactly Soto Sopa for real. That's Disney Springs, open to the public, and it's just a place to come and experience young local
Disney
nightlife,
people.
food and dining. Yes, but it is open to the public, so it's this like
But are all the restaurants like owned by Disney?
no, no.
So it's just like a mall an
It's
outdoor
like
mall that they made.
yes, and you picture it like the way that Disney would do a mall though, so it's like very done
Like
up.
all the trash cans are like designed.
Yeah, and like you're like might walk over a bridge of like blue like lit up water in the middle of the night that has like floating lanterns and
Sure.
landscapes and something might just light on fire or something.
Soda Sopa.
Soto Sopa. And there's like a whole like shopping strip that has Zara and all of those places, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You picture it, and it's all outdoors.
Yep.
Why am I saying this? There's a guy in Disney Springs who goes there like every day, and he dresses in the most insane clothes, and he'll have lights all over him. And he has these like sneakers that are just like flashing lights and everything. He just looks insane, and he plays music. He might even just have headphones on, but he plays music and he just dances like a madman for hours and hours every day.
Hell yeah.
Like this is his
Is
life.
he like is this like a income source for him?
No, I just saw him one day.
Is
And
he okay? Is he which of the following? This is like a checkbox group, not radio buttons. Okay, so like you can check multiple.
great, thank you.
Which of the following apply to this man?
Okay.
Burnt out deadhead,
Mm.
or like sort of like quirky, um, like quirky, like the guy with the question mark suit, the money man with the question mark suit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on. Okay. What kind of guy is this? Is what I'm saying.
The second one. Yeah, he's not like a burnt out deadhead guy.
He's not a burnout deadhead.
No.
Okay.
No. He's just I don't know.
So like you don't think there's LSD involved?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I imagine him saying like, "This is my drug," you know?
Right. I'm just high on life.
Right. So
Okay, yeah.
I'm now like, I have an eye for this type of person now, and now I'm seeing it. So I fish in Celebration a lot. Which, do you know what Celebration is, Daniel? Tell me, you know what
You
Celebration
fish in a place called Celebration. You don't do celebratory fishing.
is. No, what did I say?
You said I fish in Celebration, which
Oh, I
could mean
fish in
like
celebration of everyday accomplishments.
I am celebrating Alpine V3 by fishing. Yeah.
Do you know what Celebration is?
Yeah. Celebration, Florida.
Yes, it's the Truman
Yes.
Show. It's Disney's Truman Show town,
Sure.
which is much less that way now
Less
after
soda
Disney
sopa.
sold it because it started getting less Truman Show like, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But it's still very whatever. Anyway, I go there and fish the ponds and stuff all the time. It's a great time. And there's this guy, there's people walking on all these paths around these lakes. And there's this guy who is dressed in like full, it's hard to describe his suit, on an electric scooter that's all lit up and music playing, and he just whizzes by. And you'll just, if you're fishing, you see him whiz by, you think, oh, that's interesting. And then you see him again. And you start fishing there every day, and you see him every single day.
He's just there to be seen.
He's just there to be seen. He has a bunch of lights on, and he's
Yeah.
got this like helmet that you can't see any of his face at all. He's wearing like almost all black, and then just flashing lights everywhere with music playing loudly. And he
Mhm.
just rides around over
These-
and over.
Both of these guys are like extremely divorced, right?
So I don't know. I would think, but get this. Hannah and I are fishing. We see two of these guys meet. There's another guy who has an electric bike with lights all over it and music playing. And they like meet for the first time, and we're just listening to the entire conversation. We're like, oh man, dude, I see you here every day, man. Like, oh, it's so good to meet you, man. Like, oh man, we should ride together. So they start riding together.
Oh, dude, it's a crew.
Yes. And they start and we're just watching them go around the Celebration Lake in circles, just riding one after the other. They got their music playing. I don't know.
Are
I
they
just
playing
wanted
the
to
same
share
music,
this
or
with
is it
you.
like
Right?
clashing?
No. Yeah. Then they left. Then they just split. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I like a part of me wants to be that way.
I mean,
How
you
fun would that
could.
be?
You could.
You think, Daniel?
Yeah, you could ride in Celebration.
Daniel, I'm sorry to keep hogging the airwaves, but I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Do you know those cars? Because these are other people who live out loud. Those cars that have two front wheels and one back wheel, and they're kind of like open.
Yeah. They're not really cars. They're like
What are
motorcycles,
they?
almost like.
Yeah, what are they? Do you know anything about them?
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's a whole category of this is a uniquely American proposition, but I think there is a whole category of vehicles that are created for people who got a little bit too hefty to ride a motorcycle.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
You know, like the tricycle Harleys. You've
Mm.
seen those, right?
Yep.
I think it's that. I think it's like you like motorcycles, but now you're a little older and a little fatter, and you have a little bit of a harder time
Interesting.
riding a motorcycle. It's like
I
the
just
crotch
figured it was
rocket for the
like-
people who don't have the crotch for it anymore.
I think you might be right. You're probably right. But
Yeah.
based on my knowledge of fat people riding motorcycles, which I had an uncle who was extremely fat and rode.
Oh
a
no, I
motorcycle for a
definitely
long time.
support their right to do
And
it.
had a
I don't
friend
want to
named
be perceived
Tiny,
to. I
who
don't
was
want to be perceived to
huge.
think perceived as a person who thinks that fat people shouldn't ride
Like, I
motorcycles.
almost feel like more fat people ride motorcycles
than otherwise.
So I attribute this phenomenon to like, you get the thrill of a motorcycle, you get the wind blowing in your hair. It's
But you
totally
don't need to actually
open.
ride one.
But yeah, like you can have somebody sitting next to you. You probably won't like die instantly.
Probably don't need a motorcycle license to ride it, so
Right,
maybe they're good for
yes.
renting.
Yes.
That's probably what it is. They're good for rentals because
Maybe
you don't need a
that's-
motorcycle license.
Because you see them all over the place in Florida
It's
now.
definitely people renting them because you're in Orlando, right?
Okay,
It's
yeah.
tourists renting them. That's
For
what
sure.
it is.
Cool.
It's
And
like
I wonder,
Segway rentals, but for like the extreme.
Right. Yep. Okay. All right.
Are there a lot of Segway rentals there?
For sure.
Yeah, same
Less
here.
so these days. It's more like motorized scooters.
Hmm. This is like Segway rental city because
Oh,
it's
really?
like, well, it's like a very like touristy city, but it's also very hilly. So
Yeah,
like, it's a really good if you're bringing the fam. It's like, well, what if we got Segways for $200 or whatever, and
yep,
we could just ride up these hills.
yep. That's what's up. The first time I was ever in Celebration when I was a kid, the first time I was ever on a plane coming to the land of Disney World, we all rented Segways and rode around Celebration.
I really want
It's a real thing.
I really want access to one of the fast Segways. Like you can only really rent the ones that are
Mhm.
slow.
And they'll kick you off if you go too fast. Like they'll
Yeah.
kick you off like a horse and you'll
But
get
the thing I think that's important to know about me is I like going fast.
absolutely. You're very
And
aerodynamic.
yeah, I can slice through the air like a knife through butter.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, I'd like a fast Segway. And I know they exist. I just am not allowed to have one. Cops got them.
Can't you just get like a normal Segway and take the governor off? Like
I just don't
Google it
know,
on
but
like,
I don't want to buy a Segway. That's the problem. I want to ride a Segway fast
oh, right, right, right. Okay.
without buying one.
Yeah, yeah. That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like you want we were going to talk about RV rentals. You told me to
Right.
save it for the show.
I mean, let's do it.
Okay, well here's the thing. The important thing is you can't rent an RV.
You can.
You can for an amount of money that is the same as a hotel.
Yes. I
It's extremely stupid
Hannah
because
and I
like
looked like into it deeply and we're going to do it. But you had to be 20 some amount of age that we're not.
that
Like
you're not
28
now.
or something. I don't know. Maybe we looked at it earlier, but it wasn't like a car rental. It wasn't 25. Maybe it was 27 or 28 or something.
Anyway, you can rent an RV for like $100 a night,
Yep.
which is ludicrous because like
Yep.
an RV costs like assume I want to rent a bad RV, right? I don't want to rent like the Kingfisher or what the Kingfisher 7 series that has like 3 TVs and like
Pop
glowing
outs.
underlights and
Yeah,
shit, you
right.
know?
And like it
Like
comes with the band with it.
yeah, exactly. That is not the RV I'm looking at renting here. I want to rent like an
You
RV.
want to rent like
It's got a bed, it's got wheels, and it's not going to break down in the middle of Idaho
you want
somewhere.
to rent something with like crushed up beer cans on the dash.
Yeah, I'm
Like that's the
totally
kind
fine with
of
that.
you want to rent something you could cook meth in.
I might cook meth in it.
Like
You
that
never know
kind of
with me,
RV.
you know? All I'm saying is, like, if you want to rent an RV, like, it's $100 a night.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy that RV, it's $17,000. So,
Yep.
like, do the math. 170 nights of renting this RV out, and they've made their money back. Not including insurance and all this other, you know, and the paying the guy who does the rentals and all that. But like, what is going on here?
So this is very interesting because I've thought pretty deeply about this because I really wanted an RV for a time.
Mm-hmm.
My philosophy in life, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but it was my grandpa's philosophy, is like rent, don't own.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, because on face value, renting doesn't add up. It's like, why would I rent and throw away my money when if I bought it, I could pay it off after X amount of times. But I think like if I own an RV,
Yeah, I definitely. Well, this is the problem. I can't own an RV.
because you don't have the space to park it.
Well, like I do, but that's all of my space.
Right. You have to park it. You have to insure it. You have to own it. You have to repair it. You have to, I mean, you have to pay for gas for rentals anyway. But anyway, it's
And
like, it's
then
the
and
kind of
then there's
thing
the
that,
psychological burden of just having this giant
yes.
thing.
And you
Yeah.
have to use it to like, to get your value out of it. So when I do that calculation, I think like, oh my gosh, like I'd be willing to spend so much money on an RV rental for the 2 or 3 times a year I can live like a person who owns an RV, and then I can rent boats and live like a person who owns a boat, and I
Mm-hmm.
can rent a condo and live like a person who owns a Florida home, you know?
Yeah, but the problem here's I think the thing with it, right, is like if I was going to rent an RV, I would want to rent it for a month and a half.
And like tour the country or something.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
work. Like especially now this you've seen this new satellite internet stuff, the Elon Musk satellite internet.
I can't wait, dude. Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink. Like once you have that, you
Yeah,
can
once that's
legitimately be anywhere.
yeah,
You can be in your RV in the middle of Yosemite on your Zoom call doing your daily stand up.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The thing about RVs that's a bummer that you were alluding to is like, well, one, they're like just as expensive as hotels, which is weird.
Yeah,
Two, they are to like pay for an RV spot at a KOA
exactly.
is
So
not
this is
cheap. You're
and so
like,
this is where the
what?
van conversions come in, right? This is where you start looking at van conversions
Yes, right. Yep,
because you're like, okay, now I don't need like a Blackwater hookup and an electric hookup
yep.
and all the RV spot things. I can stealth
But you
camp.
still want it.
You
That's the
want it,
problem.
but like
But you don't have to have it every night. You
you
can go
can
to the Cracker Barrel and sleep.
yeah, the Cracker Barrel or like a Motel
Walmart.
6 parking lot or whatever.
Yeah.
You can sleep. So anyway, I feel like the van conversion is the move. Obviously all of those are sold because
Yep.
it's COVID. Everyone
Yep.
bought all of them. So there's none.
They don't
Um
exist.
so you'd have to do it yourself, and I am not going to do that. I'm going to buy a van, start converting it, and it's going to live in my driveway for
You
3
would convert
years.
it. You wouldn't buy one of the.
I'm saying if this is what would happen
Oh, I gotcha.
if I went
Okay.
down that road is I
Oh,
would
tell
purchase
me.
one, start
Yeah.
converting it, and then leave it in my
And
driveway for 3 years, and then try and sell it half converted and lose money.
I'll save you the time. I have a half-built teardrop. I'll ship it down.
Exactly. This is
Same deal.
I would turn into Caleb Porzio, except I don't have a dad's garage to put it in.
So there's a Brock Porzio in the world who had the same idea, except he's somebody who actually like builds stuff all the time for a
And
living and
completes those projects.
completes projects. So he's working on a van conversion. He lives in Denver and he has
Yeah.
an apartment, but he works
Uh-huh.
on it in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude's freaking. So he bought this van for like 8 or 9 grand,
Mm-hmm.
and he gutted the whole thing, and he finished the like bed system. It's so dope. Like the thing he
I've
built.
watched so many videos, dude.
Okay. So he's like, it's a bed system where in the back it's a bed,
Mm-hmm.
but if you like open the back hatches, you
There's
can
storage
basically
underneath
like
the bed.
pull the bed up to be like a couch
Oh, cool, cool,
at
cool.
any back thing you want. And all he did was make like, he took the
So it's on
concept
like
of.
rails, basically, like it slides
So it's on
backwards.
sliding rails, and he took the concept of a beach chair, those handles that
Mm-hmm.
like you can unhook one level,
Mm-hmm.
the other level, and he just like got some angle iron and like cut out
Yeah. So
like
my
the wheels
futon
and
behind me
whatnot.
is that exact system.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so he did that. And whatever, he built all the cabinets out, and he has like a welder so he can he's welding like a whole frame for the thing. The floor's in. He's got all the plumbing system and electric. Anyway, it costs a ton of money and takes a ton of time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually doing it. And his like on Instagram, it's a very Instagrammy thing to do, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And there's other people in our lives that are attempting the same thing, and it's just extremely funny to see that like the failure rate of attempting a project like this is so high.
Yeah.
So like people just drop off like flies, and
Mm-hmm.
he like gains this sick sense of like pride from that. He's the
Mm-hmm.
most non-prideful person ever, but he's just like, okay, like I actually like, I watched this thing. He's like, you got to see these people. They're like, oh, today we're gonna paint the left door handle to try to just breathe some motivation into the project because we really don't want to work on it. So today we're like gluing googly eyes on the cup holder because they just don't want to do any of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a real thing.
It's exactly the type of project that I would love about 40% of it and hate the other 60% and never do it. But there are parts of it I would love
Totally.
so much.
Yeah.
That's
Like
the
what?
problem. You gotta make a friend who likes the bad parts.
What are the bad parts?
I feel like the bad parts are like I feel like the fun parts are the parts that you can like do well. Like I feel like putting in the
Mm,
insulation and the siding and stuff is like an
sure.
incredibly good part, you know? Because it's like the van is empty. You've already stripped everything out.
Sure.
And now you're working from a clean slate and you're like,
Yeah.
ooh, I put up this nice insulation. I put up this nice siding.
Yeah.
The bad parts are like I'm 60% of the way through the project. I've already built in a ton of constraints for myself.
Right. Yes.
And
Yeah.
now
Walled
I need
yourself
to
into a
implement
corner of
something. And
constraints.
I just realized like, oh, I can't
The
actually
cabinet
have
door
the
can't
sync.
open because I didn't account
Exactly.
for the freaking whatever.
Exactly, dude. Those are the parts that just make you want to blow the van
Or
up.
like, or like it's time to
Like
put the fan in.
the guy who blew up an RV outside the AT&T building.
He
You know
was
about this?
yes, 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 and like
That's what
couldn't
happened.
figure
He
out the
was working on rebuilding
motive. Right? They're
that
like, what's
RV.
the motive? He didn't kill anybody. It's just, you.
He just was like, God damn it, these cabinet doors will never open. Fuck this van. I'm blowing it up.
Dude, that is hilarious. You figured it out.
Yeah, I'm smart like
Everybody
that.
is looking for the smoking gun.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking
There's
for the
nothing.
motive.
There's
There's
nothing. It
no
was
motive.
just an RV build
It's just an
that went
RV.
wrong.
There's a guy. They start like going through the straps.
Guy just
Everything's
realized halfway through a
60%
project
done.
he had ADD.
Like we've received, so the RV apparently only had 65% of the paneling finished. They're like profiling the RV. It's just a story of a failed. Oh man, dude,
There
that's
was a lot of sketches. There was a lot of sketches. A lot of lists of lumber that he was gonna buy.
oh man.
All right. The bomber left a note. It says, I need 3 2x6s, 2 2x4s, and 4 sheets of 4x8 plywood. That's
Daniel,
good.
that's that's it, man. You figured it out. So
That's stupid. Oh, that's good.
that's what happens, man.
Yeah. This is why we can't have sponsors on this podcast.
This episode is sponsored by Lowe's. Oh, that's the thing, man. You want to make money off Bitcoins? Be Coinbase. You want to make money off camper vans?
Be the guy who builds and sells camper
Be
vans.
Lowe's.
Or that, yeah.
That's perfect. Just
but
sell
also
building
be the guy.
materials to incapable people.
Here's the guy you really want to be in the camper van industry is the guy who buys up people's half-finished camper vans and finishes them and then sells them.
Yeah, sort of. But like, imagine being that guy and getting half-finished camper vans from people who don't finish camper vans.
Well, right, but that's you just use that to drive them down on price, right?
Sure, right. Yeah,
You're like, you're never going to sell this to someone who needs a van.
Right.
You're never going to sell this
You're
to
never
someone
gonna
who
sell
needs
someone
a
who needs a
camper
camper
van.
van.
I am the only person who will ever buy this van from you, and I'm offering you $3,400.
Dude.
Take it or leave it. I'm out.
It's true, man. That's
Yo, Brock just got a career.
he did just inherit people's half-finished stuff. It's what the
If
same thing
you're
with
a
the
person of
teardrop. I'm like,
discipline, if you are a person of discipline, there is a huge market in inheriting disabused projects.
oh my gosh. The teardrop, when I've thought about my exit strategy with the teardrop, it's like, okay, what can I get money for?
I think you need a second round of funding. You got to solve some equity in this thing until you're diluted out.
So I could put I could disassemble everything and sell the trailer. Like honestly, it would be so much work to disassemble everything down to the trailer. Like I would want to sell you like, here's a trailer that's fully insulated and is waterproofed on the bottom and has half-inch what's it called? Half-inch birch plywood top that's like finished and really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Tow your wares on it. Like it's the weirdest thing to sell.
Tow your expensive show dogs.
And then all the other plywood and cabinetry that I have that like, and here's a bunch of scrap wood if you'd like.
Yeah.
What do you think the chances are if I literally sold it as like a half finished teardrop? Like I have the plans, everything's spec'd out. You can see the finished model. I have all the lumber. Everything's all cut out. It's ready to go. Like here.
Caleb, how many more hours of work?
Way too many.
Teardrop. How many?
Way too many, dude.
Like guesstimate.
Like 500.
500?
Yeah.
I don't
like
understand
easily.
how could that possibly take
I
that
thought
long
I
to
could
build
do it
that
in
tier?
4 weekends. I'm an idiot. I'm a complete idiot. I tried to do it not in 4 weeks. I tried to do it in like 4 weeks.
Uh-huh.
I'm an idiot. It takes so much freaking time. It's
Are
unbelievable.
you like 10% done?
It's dude. That's like asking, are you 10% done of like a web app?
But just answer the question like you know.
I can only tell you what I have done. I can't assign a percent value to it.
How many story points is this teardrop, dude?
That's the thing, man. It's like, is it 10% done by volume of like teardrop? No, it's more than that. I'm
Yeah,
crushing it.
yeah,
Is it 10% done by man hour? You know, I don't know. Like, yeah, dude.
dude.
Honestly, you know what you need to do if you ever get psyched about a project? Find a YouTube channel that basically like does video, no time lapses. No time lapses.
Good luck.
Find a YouTube channel that shows you a build like fully.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that is plenty of discouragement. That canoe, I started watching canoe build videos and I'm like, do I want to build a canoe? Because you're just watching the stuff they have to do. Like just to,
Dude,
oh
why
man.
don't you and Brock make a deal? You just gotta get this teardrop to Brock.
Yeah, he would be like, no way, dude. No way in hell. No
You
chance.
think?
If he lived near me, we would do it. We used to work on stuff all the time.
Uh-huh.
But like if I just handed it off to him,
No. But
be
you
like,
can
no
be
way.
anywhere. You go to Brock with the teardrop after the Alpine
He would be
launch,
down. He would love the
and
like
you say,
brother
Brock,
bonding
listen,
experience.
bud, I need help.
You know why the teardrop isn't finished?
Because
Because I don't
Brock
have my
moved to
brother to
Colorado.
bail me out.
Yeah.
He's bailed me out of every like car fix I've attempted where I just like pull off something and I'm in deep and the car is just like spewed all over the driveway. I'll be like,
Right.
yo, Brock. And he'll come over and be like, oh, and he'll take the worst problem that a normal person can't solve and he'll be like, we got to get the oxyacetylene torch
Mm-hmm.
and we got to, take that off and whatever. And yeah. And he happily will bail anybody out of any project. And he's the reason that the teardrop isn't finished. Thank you
Yeah.
for the
Blame Brock.
revelation.
Yeah.
Brock, what
So
a
here's what
dude.
I'm saying. You gotta
I just
you
hightail
the
it to
thing can
Denver
roll though, right? It can roll safely on a road.
for sure.
It's just you
You
can't
just
live
got
in
to
it.
put the bearings back into the wheels and no, totally. It would roll. It
Okay.
doesn't suggest going over 50, but it'll roll.
Okay. So and you've got a car that can tow it, right?
No.
Caleb.
I just don't have a tow thing. They don't go on the Corollas.
All right. Okay, Caleb. Here's the deal.
I'll get the
Sell
car.
your Corolla, buy a Subaru Outback.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Hitch the thing up to your Subaru Outback.
Yep.
Drive to Denver.
Perfect.
That's where he lives, right? Denver.
Denver.
Drive to Denver. Hang out there for a month,
Okay.
and you and Brock knock this thing out.
In his parking lot.
Yeah,
In the
or
apartment
you know
parking
what?
lot.
Rent a garage. You're the king of garage rentals.
The business
Aren't you?
doesn't exist yet. D. Cole, it's half started. the business to finish the teardrop is unfinished.
All right. So step one is launch Alpine V3. Step two,
Right.
use Alpine V3 to make the website for the garage rental business.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This is good.
And then, yeah,
And then you get to Brock.
then I get to Brock. Yeah.
Brock will
Ace in
bail
the
you
hole,
out.
dude. Ace in the hole.
Yeah.
It's a done deal.
Dude.
Dude, and then you start your project. Brock doesn't discriminate. He'll bail you out too.
Oh, he'll bail me out too.
He'll bail you out too. He really will.
So I can drive my like 87 Chevy Astro up
If you just show up,
to Denver.
honestly, he's like the most guy ever. Like if you just show up
Mm-hmm.
and just be like, I'm good friends with Caleb,
My
he's
van
like,
is in a
oh, great.
terrible state.
Yeah. He'll be like, all right, let's see what we're dealing with. But the thing is, you have to pay the Brock cost. That's the thing. It's not all take. There's some give. Any project that he's bailed me out of, the scope increases like crazy. Like you start with that, you're gonna have like a steel frame around. You're gonna have a roll cage on your car by the time
Ugh.
you're finished. You'd be like,
Yeah.
no, we really should pick
Can't do it.
ready
Can't do
for
it.
a tornado.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. That's the Brock cost.
That's the Brock cost. Literally, we'll be done with Brock stories after this. I wanted to build a little pedestal thing in my room to like put a little fireplace. I just wanted something like 6 feet tall that the fireplace would go on. And I just thought like this will be
6 feet
simple.
tall.
Sorry, 6 inches tall. I thought this will be simple. But like when I got Brock involved, he did bail me out. But like we literally framed in the walls, the 6-inch tall walls. Like we framed them with normal framing specifications. It was ridiculous.
Like you had like studs on
Like 16 inch on center. We
Yeah.
put an outlet in the thing and literally ran electrical. It's a little thing. And he's like, well, you're going to want the outlet to be here. And he's like, well, by the regulation, he's like, and you want it to, and here's your load bearing 6-inch wall. It's the price you pay.
Good.
He's like,
That
we're
is
going
the
to
price
need
you pay.
like cement board for the tiling. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Anyway.
Brock.
Really though, you should meet Brock sometime.
Of course I should.
He's like different than every person.
Good.
He's the most
I hate them
like,
all. So
he is so unbelievably loving and accepting. He's like the most teddy bear person on the planet. Like I am evil compared to him.
damn.
Yeah.
You are kind of evil.
I mean, I'm evil as a normal baseline.
Yeah.
Compared to him, it's way worse.
Hey, that was a nice article that GitHub made about you.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
You're the star of the GitHub stage.
What'd you think of that, buddy?
Immediately I thought Hannah took these pictures.
Yeah, she did. They paid her. They were like,
They paid her?
yeah, they offered to like
That's
hire a
dope.
photographer, and I was like, well,
My wife's a photographer.
my wife's one.
Hire her.
And they were like, oh, send us her info. So it was a totally normal deal. Like she sent him a contract, she charged him her normal rate.
Yeah. I
And-
like the
but-
one of you and
yeah.
you and the bibs.
Yeah, they were like, we want a few. They had it all specced out. They were like,
Uh-huh.
here we want a shot of. They sent her these specifications of all the shots they wanted. We want like a landscape full width shot where he's standing in his full, whatever. We want a half body shot. We want a portrait this shot, and it even was like, where I should be looking and everything. And then they were like, and we want like a lifestyle shot, something of like him in his natural habitat. And then we want like a desk shot.
Oh, by the way, the desk shot, speaking of projects, I didn't realize you had that like keyboard tray with your ergo docs in it like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I finished that one.
Yeah.
That was a finished woodworking project.
Yeah.
Super simple. I was like, why I'm stressing about buying a keyboard tray. They're always loosey-goosey and annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what? They're insanely expensive. I was like, I could literally just drill some plywood together.
Yep.
And I love it.
Charlotte was like, ooh, his desk is so neat. And I was like, he was getting his picture taken for GitHub. He cleaned up.
Dude, come on. Like, if you know me a tiny bit, that's totally fabricated.
Nice big speakers too. What are those speakers?
I don't know. They're like they're like wire
Big.
cutter, like best speakers you can
Big.
have ever.
Big,
I don't
big.
know. They're really
I
nice.
like them.
Yeah. That was an awkward picture because it was so difficult to take it was so difficult to take that picture without showing all the cables and
Mhm.
without showing like shitty parts of the room,
Mm-hmm. Shitty Pot Town.
Shitty City Walk. There's literally a place that the Disney Springs equivalent in Universal is called City Walk.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go to City Walk and not constantly be saying Shitty Walk? Come on. Like, what were they doing? But
That's
yeah, so
fun.
Daniel, they tell us these pictures. I decide lifestyle picture, fly fishing.
Yeah.
Great. That's the end of that story, really.
Cool.
And they used
Yeah.
it. But
was
they
a
were,
nice little
they were
article.
like,
You promoted the show. I appreciate when you promote the show.
did I? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. They interviewed me.
Mhm.
And it was like I think it was a Zoom interview or something, but it was like a verbal interview, but they took notes or like played it back, and then
Sure.
wrote it all out. It was my first experience with like, oh, people take the things you say and focus on something that they want to market. and it feels weird. Like
Mm.
the first draft that they sent me was mostly like the big focus was like
Mostly about GitHub
transparency
sponsors.
and salary transparency. And I'm like, did I even mention that? Like if I did, I
Yeah,
probably just
yeah,
offhandedly was like, oh yeah, and like me and Daniel and whatever and salary
yeah, yeah.
transparency. But like that's not it. That's not my thing.
Hmm.
Like that's I do not want to be branded as the guy
The
who's like,
salary transparency guy.
yeah, like I'm liable to make a company that doesn't do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I like sent them like, hey, I think it would be great if we could shift the focus here to whatever. I could just tell that like they were gunning for a specific type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it did work out and they let me edit. There were like 5 or 6 rounds of edits and a bunch of people got involved and you like do a pass and then they pass it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
The whole thing was crazy.
But I thought it was really nice.
That's good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard for me to read it and I don't know.
It-
I didn't I guess it's hard to say this, especially if somebody from GitHub is hearing it, but like, I don't know. I just read it and I'm cringing in a few parts of it, so I don't like it.
huh.
That's why
I
I
thought it
didn't
was nice.
even I didn't even retweet it when they sent it out. They told me to share it. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this GameStop stuff's taking up some airspace. I'll wait it out. And then I forgot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't even like, how do you even tweet about it and be like, hey, they wrote an article about me? So I just hit retweet and whatever.
Hmm.
That was it.
Um, but yeah, I thought it was nice because it like tied together the like I think the narrative is actually like even though like this isn't the narrative naturally to you, I think they did hit on a real narrative, which is that like your need to like have a form of income that wasn't from a job was strongly tied to those feelings of like I'm at a job, I feel like I'm not getting paid that well, I feel like I don't have a
Yeah.
lot of autonomy, like, and, like tighten on and you making this right beginning.
Daniel, you are frozen to me and now you are back. Continue.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was just saying like the story they open with is the story of like me and you were sitting at Titan on site and I tell you I make more money than you
Yes.
and then you go leverage that into a raise, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like that is like a foundational part of Caleb cannot have a boss anymore, right? Like that leads directly into the like, dude, I can't be doing jobs and like having bosses and
Yeah. It does
doing
lead into some sort of
annual
awakening.
reviews where I'm like arguing that I deserve more money and stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, and so you're just, that is what led you out into the world. And then out in the world you were like, dude, I can't be like selling courses like as my main source of income
Mm-hmm.
and you know like all this stuff. Like let me just jump on this GitHub sponsors thing and like find a way to like generate a living from like people just give me money because they like what I do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
So I think those things are tied together nicely because it's
Cool.
like even down to the point of the like you mentioned that like the value I provide is not stickers, it's the work that I do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like even that is like sort of tied up in this sort of movement that you've been on of like recognizing the value of your work, dissociating the actual economic for this, right? Like
Dude,
you
what?
don't negotiate for your money at this point, really.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, my internet
Anyway,
is like slow to a
that's all.
crawl. Oh man, this just freaks me out because I have to do
Well,
Laracon
we could just
online
wrap it
from
up.
this place. I know. I just get so freaked out when it's bad. I was on a call like a week or two ago, and it just stopped, and internet was gone the entire day. And
Mm.
it doesn't feel good knowing that I have to do the thing from this. But I heard most of what you said, and that's good to hear. Yeah, the things that are hard for me is that like that title of like maintainers pay the cost or something like that. Like open source is
Yeah.
free. It is true, but I guess when I hear it played back to me, it just sounds like I'm angry or feel
Yeah, but you're
entitled or
not. I feel
something.
like you're not, and it doesn't
I'm
sound like
not
you are if you
angry.
read the article.
Good. So I don't know. I did a lot of toning down in the edits to be
Hmm.
like, well, and I don't if I said it this way, like it definitely came out better with my voice than on paper.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just the way I talk, but I definitely made a lot of strong statements and wanted to like backpedal from them if it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be in an article. Cause I don't write that way, but I
Mm-hmm.
definitely speak that way. So anyway,
Yeah, and I think you and I both speak kind of like these like hypothetical things where it's like, now here's an idea. What if
yeah, right,
a
right.
bunch of strong statements? Okay, well, actually, now that you think of it,
Yes. There's a
like
lot of
we make a strong
flexibility.
statement and then qualify it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep. Dude, I don't want to end it, but we are at 204.
204?
Yeah,
Really?
we're over 2.
Dude, we blew through that.
We did. It was a good one. It was really fun.
Yeah,
Really fun.
really fun. All
Deek
right, cool.
McDeek. All right. So what do I stop
Well,
first? The YouTube or the audio? Stopping the audio
well,
first.
first we cue the outro music, and it
Oh,
goes
right,
like
right. Yeah.
this: one, two, bomb, bon out.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right,
Then we
and
save the
stop the
file. We're
YouTube.
still on with YouTube, so you keep them company while I type.
YouTube, look at my hands doing little motions.
What is the
YouTube,
title?
you guys know
YouTube?
the title? The
The
title,
working title for the
let's
file to
think
save
for the YouTube audience.
is NPTM campers.
Okay, NPTM campers.
I didn't get my name
And
on
then
it.
yeah,
Carry on. Sorry. YouTube's watching.
the yeah, we should what should we call this episode? We should call this episode. Oh man, what I mean, there was a couple funny things. We can't really put the guy who blew up the RV in the title. That's
I
kind of
know.
fucked up.
Yeah.
We could. There was a couple funny things though. What were the other funny
I
ones?
know. Can we stop the YouTube recording? Or are we
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
this
yeah.
for YouTube? I'm
Bye
just doing
YouTube.
YouTube. Bye, YouTube.
No, bye.